I was going to say, while we're here, I also played a bit of Fight Forever this week. I know we talked about it last week. Garrett, have you? I have not seen a tweet or any kind of mention of you talking about Fight Forever. Have you played it at all?
I dabbled. I played like an hour or two. I haven't touched story mode. I just played some matches, and I'm like, it feels better than the WWE games, but it still feels like a wrestling game. And I think I realized I just don't like wrestling games. I don't find like them just fun. Because there wasn't like a dynamic back and forth in these matches that made me feel like oh, you know, this is like really simulating the idea of having a great match. It was just doing some moves, and I think it has a bunch of cool novelties and cool ideas, like the Darby Allin skateboard stuff, the Orange Cassidy hand in pocket stuff. That kind of stuff is like the real nice touches. But like, I agree, it's an underdeveloped package, especially for a full $60 release that may or may not have a season pass. That's still to be determined. But they are releasing the Battle Royale mode for free, so that's at least a positive sign that they're not going to add a season pass on top of a already download thing, or a battle pass on top of a season pass, to use our dumb video game monetization words. But yeah, I'm not like clamoring to play it. Like I haven't gotten back to Zelda in ages, but my brain is always like, Garrett, you haven't played Zelda in ages. Whereas this, it's like, it's already gone out of my head. I might turn it on every now and again.
Yeah, I do still need to beat the Demon King at some point. Yeah, my thing with Fight Forever, I think Barry, either he mentioned it on the chair shot this week, or I saw him tweet about it, and I'm in full agreement that, because I played a bunch of Fight Forever, and then I immediately went and played a bunch of No Mercy, and there was like two things that struck me. First of all, my muscle memory for No Mercy is such that I can go play that game, and I haven't played that game in a couple of years, and I have an actual N64 controller that has a USB port, so I, just was playing a ROM version of it. But I know every single button and command prompt for No Mercy to this day, and it's never going to leave me. But the problem with that is because, obviously, Fight Forever is trying to ape those games, that I'm holding an Xbox controller, and the kind of like, the muscle memory in my brain means that the buttons that I'm pressing on the Xbox controller obviously don't correlate to what is on the N64 controller. So I'm still, after like an hour or so of gameplay, I'm still pressing what I think is the run button and is not the run button, or I'm doing like stupid mistakes like that because I'm so just like, this game is trying to do this thing, but I've not got the controller that I registered with those games. And obviously that's a me issue, but like it's there, and I haven't been able to kind of rewire my brain for that.
My finds trying to run continuously in that game awkward.
I find quite a few things. I feel the game is quite stiff. Like it doesn't have a fluidity to it that I was kind of hoping for. But yeah, the running feels a bit weird. Everything just feels a bit weird to me.
Wouldn't be the first person in AEW to work stiff, eh?
Hey.
Ooh, Punk's gonna shoot on you.
And the other thing as well is that I think what it is, and I went and played a bunch of No Mercy afterwards just to kind of see. And you mentioned it there, I think, Garrett, there a second ago, about like the momentum and the fact that you can go back and forth, and you have, like, in a wrestling match, it goes back and forth. Someone has the heat for a while, then there's the shine, and it builds up to a climactic finale. But Fight Forever, even though it's using the control scheme and mechanics of No Mercy, it's built like the actual kind of stamina, energy, whatever you want to call that, is built like a Street Fighter game or like Mortal Kombat, where as soon as your energy is depleted, that's it. Like, as soon as the AI fucking is like, all right, I can pin you now, that's it, game over. And matches are lasting like 2 or 3 minutes. And not to say that every match has to be fucking 45 minutes in the Tokyo Dome, but I've played plenty of No Mercy matches over the years where I pretty much did a kind of one-to-one replication of Triple H Cactus Jack Street Fight Royal Rumble 2000. One of the fucking greatest things I've ever done in the video game. There's no way you could do that sort of thing in Fight Forever. Just the way that energy system works is, as soon as you're down to zero, like, you fucking get knocked over with a feather, and that's it. You're wiped out for like 5 minutes, and there's no way to kind of recover from that. Even if you get back up to like the kind of like getting the special energy meter again, your actual character is just fucked from that point. So I think that more than anything else, they've got to really look at that system and rejig that, because the way it works currently, it just doesn't have that kind of momentum swing that any of those Aki games has. And yeah, it's just, I played a couple of matches and I was like, I feel like every match is going to be a variation on this particular theme, and I'm not enjoying it currently.
Even not just the Yaki games, like when we played SmackDown 2, and like maybe it's like, oh, we played it in an arcade, you know, with people, so it's a better atmosphere. But like those matches felt more competitive and back and forth and fun than these do.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. I can't work out the counter timing either.
No,
like, I've been terrible at that.
I have no idea when I'm supposed to press that button. Like, not. And again, it probably changes move to move, but even then, like, there's no like cue. It's just like, maybe now? I don't know.
I just found myself spamming it when I was fighting Dave on it. Just every now and then I would get one in, but it was probably maybe 1 in 3 I'd actually managed to counter something. Maybe there's a tutorial on there that explains how the camera system works. You also don't know whether it's going to be a strike or a grapple. So the fact that there's two, I don't know, in old wrestling games, was there 2 different counter buttons or was there just 1 counter button?
There was the one, and I get like that's a balance thing, so that like you can't just keep countering somebody. You can switch up like the variety, so you know somebody can't just press the button. They can't master the timing basically and counter you every time. I think is like the rationale for that, which makes sense, but I don't think it feels that good to play.
I mean, like the early SmackDown games, I think there was like the one button that was like a counter button, but you know the Aki games, it was left was to counter grapple attacks and right was the counter striking attacks. But again, like with No Mercy, that feels incredibly intuitive, and I think the thing with No Mercy is the gameplay is a little bit slower, so you have more time to kind of telegraph those attacks, where this is a little bit faster and it makes it harder to, and you think in theory that would work, but it just means that, you know, 1 in every 10 attempts that you might actually get a reversal, and it just feels like it doesn't work more than there's like the actual kind of skill involved in trying to do the reversals. And also, I feel like even for the amount that it's been spoken about, it cannot be stressed enough how basic the fucking creative suite in this game is. Like, I'm sorry, but if I can go and play like WWF Attitude and make more variations of a wrestler than what is in here in a 2023 game, and certainly look, I'm not expecting it to be to the level that you can do in like the current 2K game, because they have an engine that goes years and years back, and they've been able to kind of like every year expand on that. Fine, I get that. But even using, you know, putting that aside, like you cannot, because again, like if you're basing this game off of No Mercy has a pretty in-depth creative suite. Now, obviously, the graphics were fairly basic enough that you could use one face and make about 20 different wrestlers and go like, yeah, if I squint, fine, that looks like AJ Styles or Seth Rollins or whatever, fine, whatever. But even by that, like the fact that, you know, you put on trunks, like long tights, and then you can't put knee pads over that. The fact that you can only have like one tattoo and you can't move that tattoo anywhere. The fact, like, it's so unintuitive about how you have to kind of select the item, then come out of it, then you press the button to color it to whatever color you want to use. There's all these small things. Then you get to the move suite and how unintuitive, like, that categorization system, which is simply there isn't one. It's astounding how many things were looked over. And, you know, when people talk about, oh yeah, this game is trying to be like those Aki games, yes, the actual gameplay was one part of it, but that creative suite is just as much a part of it as well. And it's like, you know, there was 95% effort was put into the gameplay, which they haven't even fully like established, and then 5% was put into that creative suite, and it's embarrassing how lacking it is. And like, I don't know what their target audience is in terms of how many people they want to try and siphon from those 2K games, but I would have to imagine that if any of those came over, they would take one look at that and just think, what the fuck is this? And I don't think that's a good look at all.
Especially when that's kind of what those games are now. Like,
yeah,
that community basically finishes the game themselves. Which you can't really do at Fight Forever. I don't know. Like, again, they do plan to support it, so maybe they'll get there. Maybe it'll take a sequel. Hopefully Embracer won't go bust before they could make a sequel.
Oh boy.
It would be so funny though if it was literally the same story as the TNA game, where it's like, there's raw potential here, but it needs another game to get it right. And if it never gets one, it'll be like, well, damn.
I mean, I would say that like AEW has more resources to make a second one happen through sheer brute force if needed.
TK launching his own studio.
Yeah, I mean, look, fuck it, you know. Because I asked in the group chat the other day before I played it, and I, you know, to Barry directly, I was like, look, is this a most disappointing contender? And he was like a little bit higher past that, not thinking. I think if it's not a slam dunk, I think this is a top 3 most disappointing. Like I'm so astounded by like them not actually fully nailing the gameplay that they were going for. But just all the creators, and you know, maybe they'll get before the end of the year, they'll get their stuff in there. But for me, I'm just going to look at like the kind of 1.0 release and just think that at launch this is so lacking.
Yeah, it does depend where it is by December. Where like that Stadium Stampede mode looks extremely silly, and it might be a ton of fun. And then that might be like, who cares that the wrestling side isn't great? You get this weird battle royal where you can shoot people with rocket launchers as Sting for some reason. Like if that turns out well, and then they build up some of the core, maybe. But like, I don't think I anticipated enough to be like a personal disappointment. Like I don't care really. It's nice that it exists, and it's cool to have more than one wrestling game in the space. But again, I think I realized I just don't really like wrestling games. I don't find them that enjoyable. So for me personally, I don't think it would be.
I don't think it was so much that I had like an anticipation for it, but I was like, look, you have said you are trying to do this specific thing here. And if I am making that comparison, you have fallen way below what I was hoping for. And, you know, like, No Mercy is my personal favorite wrestling game. I have lost 200, 300 hours to that thing. If that is the thing that you said, this is what you're aiming for, I do have a standard that I expect you to meet, and it fell so below that. So for me, it qualifies as most disappointing. But you know, we still got a good kind of 5 months or so of the year. So who knows?